if you're playing with a deck of cards that keeps the Joker in the 54, well, you've already used one of the Jokers. There's probably only one left. 8 to go. Man, watching the Cardinals celebrate, just freaking.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good morning. It's Wednesday. The sun came up. It's a little chilly, though. I'm Dominic Cotroneo. This is Locked On Brewers, your only daily podcast, Monday through Friday, dedicated to the Brewers all season long. And here we are, 8 days left. 8! Man, what a crazy ride it's been. And it's going to be even steeper now for the climb for the Brewers trying to make something special for the wild card. They lose yesterday, 6-2. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about a little bit of next season, some stats, some just frustration. It's been a weird day for the Brewers, losing in really flat fashion. They didn't look like they were ready to play, and it was just an odd game. As soon as the Cardinals punched first, it didn't feel like the Brewers were going to come back at this one. Normally, you feel like the Brewers can come back. This was one of those that didn't quite have that feeling. If this is your first time following upon us, I'm Dominic Cotroneo. I'm the post-game host on WTMJ, home of the Brewers, and I'm also the statistician for Bally Sports Wisconsin. And I'm here with you talking about the Brew Crew here this morning for your first listen of the day. Mikolas pitched very well, but how many times have we heard so-and-so pitches season high in strikeouts against the Brewers? That was the script again yesterday. Brewers go just 1 for 4 with runners in scoring position. Only 4 at-bats with a runner in scoring position. They had bases loaded. They strike out. They had a rally forming with first and second and nobody out, and they bounce into a double play. You've heard this record over and over and over again. It's frustrating. I get it. And Mikolas and the Cardinals pitched well. Look, no one's going to get a hit off of 104 miles an hour. Goodness gracious. How did Rowdy Tellez even make contact with that, let alone try to put it up the middle? But the shift got him. It's one of those games that the Cardinals wanted to get it done as soon as possible, right? They knew all they had to do was win one game here in Milwaukee, and they clinched the Central. They get it done in game 1. In case you're wondering why they clinched it, the magic number was technically 3, but the fact is the Cardinals now clinched the tiebreaker. They've won 10 of these scheduled 19 games head-to-head, which means even if the Brewers finish with the same record as the Cardinals, which is the best that they can do, it would still go to the Cardinals for the division because the Cardinals have one fewer game remaining than the Brewers. They have an extra off day here down the stretch. But anyway, Brewers fall 6-2. Rowdy hit a homer, his 34th of the year, still leads the team. The big news from the game, too, is the Brewers are down another arm. And we're going to break down the starters here in just a little bit later. But Adrian Houser exited the game in the 4th inning. A strained groin. He is done for the year. He is on the injured list. We will await a move coming today as to who is going to replace him. I imagine it's going to be a Trevor Kelly type. It's going to be a Jason Alexander type because there's not much really ready to go in AAA right now. They are getting ready for their finale of the regular season today, then going to the postseason. Obviously, the Brewers take precedent, but it's just going to be another body arm with Luis Perdomo on the injured list right now. That really stings. Having to get Suter up immediately, then gives up the 2-run homer to Andrew Kisner, a guy who was 1 for 36. This is going to be less of a recap than just more of a gut feeling reaction pod because the Cardinals outplayed the Brewers, plain and simple. They took advantage of every mistake. They cashed in. They had 6 doubles, yet they only went 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position, but they cashed in. They cashed in early. Mikolas was getting ahead in counts. Adrian Houser was not. And the Brewers had to tax their bullpen here in these final 9 games without an off day. That's going to matter down the road. But I want to remind folks, and Craig Counts will know this too, but I mean, he got dealt a bad hand yesterday with Houser only getting 10 outs. There is no, we got to make sure there's an arm ready for the next day. If you don't win, right? There's no game 162 if Game 161's do or die. You got to throw everybody. Guys are going to be sore. Guys are going to be tired. This is it. You either make it or you don't. Tim Dillard and I were having a great conversation about this last weekend in the studio. It's like everyone's hurting. Everyone's tired. Even the guys on the other team, even the guys that are winning in their division. Everyone's tired. You can't save guys anymore. You're going to be hurt. You're going to be pitching, but quite frankly, they're going to be giving the ball to you because they think that you're good enough to get outs, be effective. That's all the Brewers have left in front of them. Brandon Woodruff gets the ball tonight, his first of his final 2 starts of the regular season. Brewers fans were asking me on the postgame show yesterday, why didn't Woodruff start yesterday? It would have been his normal rest day. Adrian Hauser could have gone back another day. Why not have Brandon Woodruff start game 1 of this 2-gamer with the Cardinals? The reason is, if you move him up to that regular day of rest, he's still only going to get 2 starts. He would have to have been shortened already to get to this point to get 3 starts out of him. But you're still only going to get 2 starts out of Woodruff here down the stretch. So what's the difference of pitching on Monday or pitching on Tuesday if you're only going to get 1 more start coming up against the Diamondbacks next week? That's the reason why they kept him in the position that they were in. But despite all of that bad news and despite all that negativity, I haven't even mentioned the big news of yesterday. The Phillies still lost, if you didn't already know. The Phillies lost 2-1 yesterday. They have lost 8 of their last 11 games. Who wants it less, the Phillies or the Brewers right now? It is shocking how crazy it's been this wild card that nobody is able to separate. Looking at the, by the way, I started this recording right after Josh Hader blew his save in the top of the 9th inning against the Dodgers. They're now in the bottom of the 10th inning in San Diego, so I'm just going to assume San Diego's going to win that game since it's tied 3-3. Brewers aren't going to be able to be looking at San Diego for much longer. Their focus, their sights are on Philadelphia. And the Cubs gave them some love. You are still a Cubs fan today, but you cannot continue to play that Joker. That was the tease. That Joker's probably gone because now you got a lefty on the mound today in Jose Quintana who has dominated you throughout his entire career. You got Sandy Alcantara coming on Friday. You got Zach Gallen coming on Monday. It is not getting easier. Reality is starting to set in. The Brewers need to play complete better baseball. They played good defense yesterday, good enough. A couple little mistakes by Garrett Mitchell in this one, but great plays by Colton Long in the game yesterday. Willie Adames made a great play on a pop-up. Jace Peterson, a couple of plays to his left. You got to play near flawless baseball these final 8 games. 7-1 at the worst. 6-2, you're going to need a lot of help, given the Phillies have 9 games remaining, and only 3 of those 9 are against a team in the playoffs, and that is the Houston Astros. You're going to need a lot of help. If let's say for these final 8 games, the Brewers go 6-2. That means they would need the Phillies to only go 4-5. That's kind of unlikely, if you ask me. Brewers would finish with 88 wins. The Phillies would finish with 87 wins. It's not impossible, but I don't like the thought of asking for help. Just win games, and they are bound to lose games themselves. So the Brewers fall 6-2. They're 82-72. The Cardinals have clinched the division. More on them here in a second. 90-65. As we move along here in the show, I want to tell you about one of our newest sponsors. The nights are getting longer. The breeze, it's cooler. You got to step to the plate. Blue Chew is coming in to help out guys across the country. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable tablets at a fraction of the cost. The best part, it's all done online. No visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at a pharmacy. The process is so simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package. So if you could benefit from a little more confidence when it's time to perform, chew it and do it. We've got a special offer for our listeners. Try Blue Chew for free when you use the promo code LOCKEDON. All one word, LOCKED ON. That's at checkout, and you're just going to pay a $5 shipping. That's Blue Chew, BlueChew, BlueChew.com. Promo code is locked on. That'll receive your first month for free. Again, BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. We thank Blue Chew for their sponsorship. The Cardinals. All right, let's be real. Let's air it out with each other here, okay? Take a seat on the couch. I get it, man. The Cardinal way. I'm sick of hearing it. It's a lot of red in the ballpark. That red pops against the Crew Blue. But Craig Counsell said it best after the game. That's what they get to do. They earned it. The Cardinals made up an 11.5 game spread since July 30th in 54 games. Since July 30th, when the Brewers were up 4 games, remember how fun it was? After that Saturday in Boston, everybody was feeling great. Things are rolling along. The Brewers, since July 30th, are now 3 games under 500, 25 and 28. The Cardinals, to their credit, 37 and 17. A full swing, a full change of feelings and mojo and confidence. There is something you can point to, obviously. August 1st, the trade of Josh Hader messed with some psyches. Seemed like they got over it after about 10, 14 days, but they have not been the same team since. You can point to that, and we'll have plenty of time over the offseason to analyze that deal moving forward. Looking at that record for the Cardinals, they won some great games. They beat some good teams. The Cardinals earned it. They played better than the Brewers. You can't sit here and say, oh, well, if the Brewers were healthy. I don't know if the Brewers are healthy, that was going to be the same record. I really don't. The Cardinals took care of business. They got some magic from Albert Pujols. Even with Arenado and Goldschmidt slowing down here in September, they are still one of the most dangerous teams in baseball. Very much so. I don't think anybody wants to face them. Because now they get to host whoever finishes last in this wild card. They're going to host either Philly or Milwaukee. Even if Milwaukee gets in, are you confident? A lot of my folks in the Twitter mentions were thinking, I don't know if 2 games is really worth it. Well, the point is, get in. If you get in, crazy stuff can happen. Look at the Cardinals in 2011. I know you remember it well. All that matters is getting in. For the Brew Crew, all that's left for them is just every inning at a time. It's the cliche of, look, Cardinals don't have anything to play for. They're going to be the 3rd seed. They're going to host a wild card round, no matter what. They are not going to get to the 2 seed, and they're not going to fall into the wild card. There is nothing the Cardinals can do to improve their position. Maybe you catch the hangover loss coming up here today. The Brewers can get back on track, taking advantage of that. One step at a time. Then the Marlins come down. To the Marlins' credit, though, they did just beat the Mets in Queens. So they got 6 runs. There was a crazy inning with the balks. If you haven't seen that for Richard Blyer, my man, that was brutal. None of those were balks, in my opinion. That was crazy. The Brewers just flush it, move on. I've said that over and over and over again, but it boils your blood watching the Cardinals celebrate on your home field, celebrating with Budweisers. Come on, man. This is Milwaukee. There's no sense in getting too worked up over it because, like the stat I just told you, the Cardinals went and got it. I don't know if Josh Hader sticks around and the record's different, probably a little improved, but I don't think the Cardinals' record changes. They played great baseball. 37 wins in 54 games? Man, that's impressive. It's what they do. You're not surprised by it in the slightest. But now the Brewers continue to get lucky and get this get-out-of-jail-free card over and over and over again. And looking at the Padres game right now, they're still going. They're in the bottom of the 10th. The bases are now loaded and still 2 outs for the Padres. They just need a hit or a walk. And Jorge Alfaro, who's been the king of the walk-offs, is coming to the plate right now for the Padres. So he's already got 4 walk-offs this year. He's probably going to get another as I'm watching Game Day load up here on my phone. Yeah, that's how late I've been recording this podcast for y'all because I love y'all. But the Brewers, looking at the wild card, both the Brewers and the Phillies, since August 6th, have won the exact same number of games. Just the Brewers have played more games, so they've lost a couple of more games than the Phillies. They both have won 24 games since August 6th. That's why it feels like no one's able to separate. It's so weird to watch how this wild card, nobody wants it. It's so odd. Even the Padres, they've been an under 500 team since the trade deadline, despite everything they did. And now looking at the scores, looking at the Padres, looks like they're replaying an old walk-off from Alfaro, not showing the actual walk-off. Alfaro is walking to the plate right now, And you're going to get my live reaction on this as we get ready for the final segment. 4 walk-off hits in a single season. That's the most in team history for the Padres. Alfaro's trying to make it 5 right now. And I know this is dramatic irony. By the time you're waking up, you might already know the result of this, so have some fun with me. We're going to talk about the starting pitching, what's left to decide with Adrian Houser now going on the shelf. More on that in just a second. The other twist of this is I'm watching this game. Craig Kimbrel's on the mound, and he's obviously lost closer duties. And maybe it's unfair for me to say that Josh Hader blew this game. There were a couple of errors and then a pass ball. But the pass ball looked like a cross-up, so that's on both of them. And it was a fastball up. It was a weird play. But nonetheless, it still goes down as a blown save against Josh Hader. And for the Brewers' starting rotation now, getting back to the point of this segment, Adrian Houser, done for the year. He's going to be placed on the IL today. His next start was slated to be Sunday. Maybe that becomes another tandem day. Maybe you save Aaron Ashby for that day. Because Brandon Woodruff's going to give you length today, right? You don't have to worry about the bullpen, hopefully, today. And what you're looking for out of the team and out of your starters, you get Woodruff today, you get Burns on Friday, so potential chance to reload your bullpen and get ready to go. It's still listed as TBD for tomorrow's opener against the Marlins. We'll find out today here at the ballpark what the Brewers plan to do. Maybe it's going to be another bullpen day. Based on days of rest, though, that could probably be Eric Lauer, depending on if they want to save him for a day or push him back a day, maybe start Ashby there instead. Who knows? If you're going off just solely off days of rest, it would be Lauer tomorrow, Burns on Friday, Peralta on Saturday, maybe Ashby on Sunday now because of the injury to Adrian Houser. And then you're back to Woodruff in the final series of the year, the opener against the Diamondbacks. Then you would have Lauer on Tuesday and Burns starting a potential game 162 to finish off the regular season. The Brewers, Adrian Houser, it's such a weird year. I am refusing to give up on Adrian Houser because, look, the dude was really good last year. You hope you can figure it out here going into this spring training. He does not have any options remaining. He's going to achieve 5 years of service time this year as well, so he can decline an option down to AAA. Or he's going to cross over 4 years, I beg your pardon. But for Houser, he was great in the second half last year. Something's gone wrong with his slider, with his curveball, with the lack of command at times. He had, this year, 43 walks in, well, if you include tonight, 46 walks in just over 100 innings. Last year, he had 64 walks in 142 innings. He hasn't been striking out guys. His ground ball rate has gone down, which he relies on the ground ball. You look at a year ago, his ground ball rate was in the top 10 in all of baseball. Over 60% ground ball rate. This year, it has simply not been there. By the way, watching the reaction, walk-off walk for Jorge Alfaro, his 5th walk-off of the year. Craig Kimbrel walks in the winning run. I don't know why Craig Kimbrel is still pitching for the Dodgers. He may not make the postseason roster at this point. Wow, that's crazy. So now the Padres move to 4 games up on the Brewers and essentially 5 games up with 8 games to go. Yikes. So looks like the Padres are generating some space between them and the Phillies. They're now 2.5 games up on the Phillies, but the Phillies do own the tiebreaker in that one head-to-head. Keep that in mind. Wackiness. Just plain wackiness. For the Brewers starting rotation, you need length today for Brandon Woodruff. Plain and simple. You need length on Friday from Corbin Burns. Plain and simple. You figure it out the rest of the day. How about the fact that Devin Williams has only thrown 3 times in the last 11 days? Brewers just haven't been able to get it to him. They haven't been having a lead. And I imagine Craig Counsell is going to be very aggressive with his use of Devin Williams. He's probably going to bring him in with 5 outs to get, 4 outs to get. He did it a lot in 2020. He's not necessarily a stranger to it. It's just been a long time since doing it. But like I said earlier, you can't save guys to assume there's a day tomorrow. If you lose today or you lose that game at hand, there is nothing to be saved for tomorrow. You could be eliminated in the blink of an eye. The Brewers are a game and a half back, essentially 2.5. The pitching is in shambles. Think about it. The only guy that hasn't missed a start is Corbin Burns. He's the only guy. 5 of the 6 projected starters have missed time on the injured list. Freddie Peralta, about 3 months. Brandon Woodruff, about a month. Lauer, only a few weeks. Adrian Houser, over a month, almost 2 months now. Ashby missed about a month. The only guy that didn't miss time was Burns. Not many teams are going to survive that. Plain and simple. They've relied a lot on Jason Alexander. They relied a lot on they thought they were going to be able to rely on Ethan Small. Remember Chichi Gonzalez was on this team, right? Like that he made a couple of spot starts. How wild was that? I'm rambling now because when it sinks in, right? Like, man, 5 of 6. 4 of those 5 missed over a month. That is hard to overcome. I'm not making full-on excuses because everyone deals with injuries, but that's significant. That is hard to overcome. And with the offense the Brewers have, home run or bust, and every game being close and taxing this middle relief of the bullpen, and they haven't been perfectly healthy either. Trevor Gott's missed time, Gustave, Perdomo, obviously trading Josh Hader. It's been a weird second half. But you reload, get ready for 2023. There's enough to be excited about. The outfield core, Weimer, Frelick, Ruiz, Mitchell, Churio on the way. You got Feliciano on the 40-man still. You've got Bryce Terang on the way. Perhaps you talk about another pitchers coming up. You got John Black coming up, one of their top prospects. There's things to be excited about on the position player front for the Brewers. How aggressive do they want to get with those rookies remains to be seen. We have a whole offseason to talk about that. But don't just bail out because the streak might be over as far as postseason streak. Teams go through ebb and flows, but you still feel good about competing next season. It's not like this is a teardown. You still feel good. Rowdy will be back. Adames will be back. Renfroe will be back. Caratini will be back. Burns, Williams, Woodruff will be back. It's going to be interesting. It feels weird because you feel like a dead man walking right now. 8 to go, they can prove you wrong, right? Just give it a chance. Let's have some fun. I'll catch you on the post game tonight. I just rambled for most of this podcast, but nonetheless, we made it through it. The Padres won, the Phillies lost, the Brewers used their joker on the Phillies, but they only got one joker left in this deck. They're out of time. They have got to win games now. Quintana versus Woodruff tonight at 6:40. Hope to see you at the ballpark or catch you on the post-game show on WTMJ tonight as well. All right, my name is Dominic Cotroneo. Until next time, keep on swinging.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.